the Hindu Student Council for yet another amazing event. They've invited me to many of their events over the years, and I always find it very encouraging. In particular, some of their leaders, whom I've known for many, many years, starting with Gokul and Nikunj and Ravi and Parth and Allegra and many others. I think they work I can tell you they worked for the last year, I know for a fact, very, very hard. So this is a great moment for them and a great moment for all of us who support them. I'll keep my comments brief because I've been allocated a lot more time tomorrow, and I'll go through the same ideas in more detail. Today is 9/11. I was in the morning in New York at Ground Zero. It's a very moving experience, especially when the fact is that in 2001 I was personally affected because several of my friends were involved in that. So I was thinking on the taxi ride here that one of the greatest gifts of Dharma to the world is pluralism. And pluralism, lack of pluralism, is one of the biggest problems the world faces. There's a lot of interfaith that goes on, but most of it is hypocrisy. Because I've explained this in some of my writings, religions founded on the concept I call history-centrism, the principle of history-centrism, are inherently incapable of mutual respect because it violates their core tenets. If they were to genuinely and honestly offer mutual respect, it undermines the very DNA, the very required mandatory belief system that they are based on. So it's really not possible. So it's more posturing, political correctness, saying the right things, we're all one, we're all the same, all truth leads to the same. This kind of stuff needs to be analyzed logically, and I've done that. And I'm always available to debate these kind of issues. So interfaith hasn't created a world of pluralism, nor can it unless people become more honest in understanding what are some of the obstacles to pluralism. This is where Dharma is in one sense, it's a very disruptive system that disrupts the hypocrisy. It's like the Trishul of Shiva piercing through this veil of ignorance and hypocrisy and falsehood. So, starting with pluralism, one can go on to, a whole lot of areas where Dharma offers so many unique things, and in the next few days you have great speakers who will focus on this. For instance, you can talk about vegetarianism and its role in feeding the hungry. People don't know, but a given amount of land, agricultural land, can support 5 to 10 times as many people who are vegetarians as non-vegetarians, because it's not very efficient use of resources to produce meat from a given amount of natural resource. And you can use the same resource, energy, land, etc. to feed a lot more people. So, as humanity faces these issues, plus of course the health consequences that we know of. And then you think about things like animal rights, which is a very big craze of liberal left-wing. Animal rights is a craze, ecology, environmentalism is a craze. But the people from the Dharmic traditions have not adequately claimed that the source of many of these solutions is actually from the Dharma. So we are considered right-wing, anti-liberal, when the liberal cutting edge talks about vegetarianism. And the profile, if you read the profile of an American, very liberal, particularly woman, especially in the case of women, you will see yoga mentioned as one of the qualities of what this person is about. And yet we people, our tradition that brings this, are considered right-wing, chauvinists, closed-minded. So I think that there is a lot to be done by us to re-educate and reposition the Dharma as a solution provider. Unfortunately, it's been positioned as a source of problems. All kind of world problems are blamed on us. But the point is that we are providing all kind of world solutions which we haven't properly connected back to us. So whether it is mental health, cognitive sciences, neurosciences, whether it is regular mind-body healing systems, whether it is environmentalism, whether it is philosophy of science. That's a huge area where the cutting edge is very much based on dharmic ideas. But our people haven't noticed it, and some of it, what happens is, the West understands, picks pieces here and there, disconnects from the Dharma, secularizes it, so it's no longer recognizable the same way. The terms are changed, new people claim discovery, new pioneers are announced, and then this reformulated knowledge, which is the cutting edge of so many bodies of knowledge, gets re-exported to India, and Indians are so grateful that they got this idea from the West. I've given so many talks with so many examples on this, and I want to keep writing to educate our people that we need to understand the origins of these things. It's our job to reconnect it back to the original sources, to keep these ideas unified. They are unified ideas. It's not that yoga is disconnected with the philosophy of vegetarianism. It is not true. Or that Ayurveda is something that you can patent and turn it into regular medicines with pills. That is also not true. We have Vamdevji here, who is a great writer on these kinds of issues, how they are connected to the Dharma. So disconnecting the Dharma from these, which they call secularism, is a real violence to our tradition. The topic I was given is, Dharma is India's gift to the world. So I started thinking about, the relationship between India and Dharma, and what the topic suggests is that India is the cause of Dharma, which is true. But then it occurred to me that converse is also true, that Dharma is what sustains India, keeps it unified. And the rise of India is not because, some guys learned computer programming and whatnot and started doing all this stuff. But the deep creativity, the deep unity of India, the culture that keeps it vibrant and has the maximum promise for the future is the Dharma. So you could also reverse the causal relationship and say Dharma is the cause behind a lot of India's emergence. The revival of India is because of a certain foundation. A good, logical, empirical evidence of this is you look at India and you look at Pakistan, same kind of people. Same kind of people, same background, similar, same DNA, but they lost the Dharma, and they are nowhere close to India in terms of the two nations, in terms of where we are in the world today. They could have been just like us. So I think this relationship between Dharma and India is not adequately discussed. It's even politically incorrect in India to talk about it, because they'll think that you are violating secularism when you think that India's foundation is based on Dharma. Forget saying Hindu, that's even worse, but if you say Dharma, you are kind of a suspect at least. And so the antennas go up that this must be some saffron thing going on and fascism and whatnot. So we have to contest that. We have to contest this whole idea of this whole misplaced notion of secularism, which says that your dharmic roots and foundations have to be negated, avoided, kept out of the discussion. In fact, the term secularism itself is a problem, because we have a better pluralism based on Dharma than secularism has been able to achieve in the rest of the world. So when we talk about the future of Dharma and gift of Dharma and so on, we must also take the discussion further and look at India's own narrative. And can the Dharma be removed from India's narrative like many people are trying to do? I am really concerned, and I'll talk more about this tomorrow, about something I call digestion. Digestion means that the whole unified entity is broken into parts, and these little parts are taken piece by piece. Some parts are digested and reformulated in a Western context, given new terms, new frameworks, put into Christianity, like we have Christian yoga now. There is Jewish yoga. There is also a Muslim yoga I saw on a website somebody's come up with. So there's all kind of yoga going on. Everybody trying to appropriate it. And this has been going on in so many domains. And we have allowed this because our own people are confused. I argue more with our people than with outsiders, because our people who are going around as ambassadors are confused about whether this digestion is good for us or not. They think it's good because it's spreading. Because in the belly of if the tiger eats you up, then you're better off because this tiger will run fast. And you'll run faster because this tiger will carry you. So this idea that our people have, that being digested into the West, being assimilated into the West will transmit the Dharma better, faster. And I need these debate opportunities with our own people to sit down and argue with them why this actually, the roots of the Dharma gets destroyed. The fruits can be harvested by anybody and enjoyed. But if you don't keep the roots alive, intact, nourished, then you will not get new harvests of new things. So the Dharma offers certain things that have been discovered by rishis and by various people in the past. But the Dharma is not fixed, frozen, final. It is evolving. More things will come. More sciences will come. More discoveries will come. New rishis will come. Things which humanity doesn't know today will come for the Vyavarika realm, the worldly realm. And so for that, the whole system has to be kept together and not broken apart and assimilated, one bit here, one bit there, as separate parts and made to disappear. So this business of digestion, I think, is the biggest threat we are facing. Probably more so than Hindu phobia. Hindu phobia is where people openly dislike, criticize, condemn. At least you know that this is what's going on, and it's easier to recognize the threat and give a response to it. The digestion is so subtle. It comes in the form of praise. It comes in the form of compliments. You know, you should be so happy. We are taking your tradition over. So people feel very grateful that somebody else has taken over their tradition. You know, almost like we don't have to worry about it because they'll do it for us. So this outsourcing the discourse on Dharma to others is a very dangerous thing. It's a loss of sovereignty and a loss of our own autonomy. It's kind of a form of colonization. And the root of this is inferiority complex. People still feel that, you know, when others like us, it must be good. So that's a kind of a complex we're carrying. I'll just make one more point based on what I just said, that the question is, who speaks for Dharma? Who should have the adhikar to speak for Dharma? And here I will say that since the Dharma discourse has been controlled and dominated by others for so long, we need some game-changing, you know, interventions to take that back, the discourse back. That means that a huge amount of R&D is needed. We need to do some manthan and really research our own Dharma, how it applies today, where the distortions are, be willing and courageous to criticize them and attack them. So a lot of emphasis, I think, needs to go on thinking, research, original ideas, provocations, debates, and a certain amount of adhikar ought to be there. Now, I also agree that people who are not doing research can be very useful if they're just disseminating the knowledge. But they have to be disseminating the knowledge based on our research, not disseminating the knowledge based on what the other side has said. So I will wrap up by saying that people within the community need to be talking, and I hope this conversation continues in the next few days. Thank you very much.